After nearly 3 decades covering the Buffalo Bills, this guy knows what he's talking about. Welcome to SalSpeak, the place to be for hard-hitting analysis from Sal Maiorana of the Democrat and Chronicle.
Hello everyone and welcome to SalSpeak on Facebook Live. I am Sal Maiorana and I will reiterate that yes, I am Sal Maiorana. Despite this hideous haircut, you may not recognize me, but it is me. Leo, you got a good laugh when I walked in the office. I'm with my colleague Leo Roth, and I walked in, and he looked at me and said, "What the hell happened to your head?"
No, you didn't even give me a chance to say anything. You took the fun out of it. Hey, you had your ears lowered and your head expanded. It looks good, Sal.
Hoorah is all I can say about my haircut.
It looks good.
Anyways, we'll move on from that because I've been dreading coming out of the house for 2 days, but I had to do this today, Leo. So here we are, and we'll talk about a few things today. We'll talk about Tyrod Taylor, what the Bills might be doing with him. I know Tyrod, it seems like it's an old topic that we discuss constantly, but he is the quarterback, and the Bills have a huge decision to make. So since Leo and I had last talked on SalSpeak, they've hired a new offensive coordinator named Rick Dennison, and that could play a role in what Tyrod's future is with the Bills. We'll also discuss the NFC and AFC championship games from last weekend. We'll save our Super Bowl preview for next week, but we'll talk about the games a little bit and a few ex-Bills that played big roles in those games. And we'll also talk about the Buffalo Sabres today. Leo and I both follow the Sabres. Leo follows them maybe a bit closer, and they've made an interesting run here in the last week or so to get themselves back up into potential playoff position. So Leo, let's start with Tyrod. And I think you and I were both at the end of the season thinking that we'd seen the end of Tyrod in Buffalo, but a couple things have happened here in the last couple of weeks, namely the hiring of Rick Dennison as the offensive coordinator, who has a minute tie with Tyrod Taylor from the past. And you and I both talked about this off air, that it just seems like the Bills' smartest move is, and I don't like it, and I don't know if you do, but the smartest play might be to bring him back because there's no viable plan B. And they're going to be stuck at quarterback if they don't bring him back. Your thoughts?
Yeah, well, we had talked a little bit about, if they went the draft route with the number 10 pick, Deshaun Watson, it's a Mel Kiper, I think since we were last on, he's got him going to the Bills, so that created a lot of buzz.
Which would be a huge reach.
Created a lot of buzz, yeah. He's going to go, Watson is going to go high to somebody, believe me, because quarterbacks always get pushed up, even though, he's probably maybe only the 20th or 30th best player overall. He might be a top 10 draft pick.
I've seen some draft have him second or third round.
Yeah.
But I mean, because he's like you said, because he's a quarterback.
And he got a huge bump from the national title game,
right.
So it's understandable where that's going. Tyrod, like you had wrote about last week, Sal, I do tend to agree. I mean, there isn't, I think for one thing with Tyrod, and everyone's talked about the money, and we talked about how as the season ended and how it was just so dysfunctional, how they handled their starting quarterback. I don't think money really should play into any decision here. If they do pick up his option, commit to him for 2 years, I mean, the $30 million, it puts his average right about in that 18 to 19, 20th range, which is where he probably deserves to be paid. I don't think it's a big deal. I don't think the Pagulas would really blanket that. Say another option emerged. If Cardell Jones became, I'm just throwing spitballs here. Say he did emerge by maybe not next year, but maybe by the year after that, and said, all right, and so you have Tyrod as a backup. He's going to get, if he does, and I go back to that cleaning out day when he did mention that he would be open to a renegotiation. I think things have changed in his camp a little bit.
Yeah.
They're going to be saying, we're not doing that because they know. I think there are teams out there that do like Tyrod Taylor. There's a market for him. Not a big one, but there are teams that could use him, might like him, might like what he's done. Maybe they feel they can do a better job with Tyrod than the Bills did. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting. Geez, maybe he'll go to Pittsburgh. I mean, the NFL changes so much every day. So, Ben Roethlisberger saying that he wants to retire.
Drama king Ben Roethlisberger. He has never seen a drama that he's turned his eyes away from.
Yeah, he's a bit.
He loves creating drama.
He's a bit of a diva, big
he's
diva,
not
big
retiring.
guy, and a big diva.
He's not retiring, so Tyrod's not going.
And talk about a team that would have no options. My God.
Yeah.
This is what happens. So.
Well, Landry Jones. Yeah. That would be their option.
Right.
So, anyways, Tyrod Taylor again. It's going to be a fascinating story for the next month and a half until March 11th. when we figured this out. Doug Whaley was down at the Senior Bowl in Alabama this week. He met with a few of the reporters who were down there, and they asked him the question about Tyrod, of course, and his answer was the same answer that Whaley always gives. It's a non-answer. He said they have 3 quarterbacks under contract, which technically they do, but we all know that EJ will be gone. And he says once that McDermott's staff is completely put together, they're going to sit down and evaluate every position, including quarterback, and then they'll come to that decision. I had the feeling, Leo, and I think we talked about this on the show, after McDermott's press conference, the way he answered the questions about quarterback, it seemed to me that he was told that they are going to move on from Tyrod Taylor. I had that sense. But in the 2 weeks since that's happened, it just feels like the winds of change are blowing a bit, and the Bills might be realizing they have nowhere else to go. I'm starting to think that it's going to happen, that Tyrod will be back. If Tyrod is back, where are the Bills in 2017?
But I don't think it has anything to do with Dennison, though. I mean, so much people. I think people are reading a lot into that.
Yeah.
The NFL is it's all 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. They've all worked with somebody somewhere down the line. Someone's bound to know somebody. I don't think that really has anything to do with it, especially since Tyrod was the backup in Baltimore.
Yeah, Joe Flacco was the guy that Dennison was working with.
Yes, I don't really know that there's some. Hey, you could say, hey, hi, I know this guy. That helps, but. So you're saying, well, the question being, if they bring Tyrod back, where are the Bills? If they bring
him back, where are the Bills?
Well, I'm interested to see what a guy like Dennison would do with him, with a whole new coaching staff would do with this guy. We look back at last season, he wasn't the problem. Defense was the problem.
Well, he was part of the problem.
Part of it.
I know the defense.
Game,
the defense failed. You're right.
He wasn't. But if you were to say we're going to list the problems, I'll put them 3 on the list.
All right.
The passing game. I'll put the passing
game for sure.
And part and parcel is the horrible state of their receiving corps. If they want to use this number 10 pick on receivers, I'm all for it. And if they want to use it on a safety, all the better. There's a couple good safeties there. I don't know if they'll be around when they're picking 10. But so many of the teams picking before Buffalo, if you look at them, 3 or 4 of them need quarterbacks. The other guy, everyone else needs defense. A couple offensive linemen. Boy, if the Bills pick an offensive lineman with that pick, I'm just going to...
Yeah, I probably want to quit right then and there. No, you're right. I mean, they do have needs. And you're right.
I think they can work with Tyrod. Get back to your question.
You think that the Bills would be serviceable on offense with that running game and with Tyrod Taylor back? That's your opinion.
And some major upgrades at receiver.
Okay. All right. So if they bring him back, you're right. I mean, I've kind of come over to that side where I wouldn't be, mortified. I still believe he's a 500 quarterback who is not going to take you to the promised land, but the way the landscape looks right now, there may not be a better option, and they may not have a choice but to pay him or to bring him back and pay him what he's going to be given in that contract, which doesn't mean it's a blowout your salary cap type of contract. That's what teams pay quarterbacks for these days.
What about the Garoppolo sweepstakes? If New England says we're going to use this guy?
It's funny you brought up Garoppolo because I don't think that Belichick would trade Garoppolo within the division. Mm-hmm. But here's a name that people will really get aggravated that I even bring up, and you may too. But Jay Cutler is a guy who could be available via trade. He was the quarterback in Denver the 3 years Dennison was the coordinator there, and Cutler actually had, I think, his best season in the NFL with Denver, with Dennison as the coordinator. Is that something you'd even want to entertain?
So maybe that's more the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon
right
there. Maybe that's more of a bigger tie.
Is Jay Cutler a possible option here?
So we want to live, 2015 all over with Kyle Orton?
Yeah, you know what I'm thinking on? What I'm thinking on
2014?
2014. What I'm thinking on Cutler, Leo, is if they truly believe that Cardale Jones is their quarterback of the future, they're going to need a bridge guy to get to Cardale Jones. Or if they draft a guy, if that player is going to be the future quarterback of the Bills, Cutler might represent the bridge. Now, people can argue, well, why can't Tyrod be the bridge? He's already here. And I'm fine with that, too.
Right.
I'm just bringing up Cutler's name because of the Dennison hiring, and there is a history there. Would you be on board with Jay Cutler in any way?
You know what? No.
Okay.
No, I would not.
And a lot of people feel that way about Cutler.
I don't know. And it's not so much, I just think we've seen a lot of Jay Cutler over the years. He's had his moments. He really has. And
he's got talent. He is a talented player.
He does. He's got a lot of there. Yeah, I've always liked Tony Romo for that matter, but I don't know if that's.
I don't think he's going to come to Buffalo.
He would not come to Buffalo. He's a little bit too much glamour.
Yeah.
Cutler would come to Buffalo.
Cutler would to resurrect his career. I think
and
he
certainly
would.
the Dennison hookup. That's more of a maybe that has more legs than Tyrod and Dennison.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right, let's move on. We're going to talk about the conference championship games from Sunday afternoon, and Leo and I were both at our buddy John Tulio's annual party. Your first visit.
A lot of disappointed Packers fans.
There was a lot of Packer fans
Packer Nation
in
there.
that crowd. Yes, it was. It was a tough day for those people. That was a game, Leo. I picked them both correctly. I don't know who you had.
No, I had the Packers winning.
Yeah, I know it's tough to pick against Rodgers last week, but I just felt Atlanta.
You were right, and I
is the best team in the NFC. I would have picked Atlanta to beat Dallas if they had played in the title game, and that game would have been in Dallas. I would have picked them to win. I think Atlanta's pretty good. Give me your impression of what you saw in those two games.
With the NFC game, really impressed with Atlanta. And Matt Ryan and Julio Jones, the big game he had, the way they ran it. They have good running backs that they throw at you. But defensively, even though they're a team that statistically their defense isn't way high, they're in the 20th something, 24th or 5th. They do two things really well. They stop the run and they get after the passer. Vic Beasley, a Clemson guy that worked out. And they made it hard on Rodgers all day long. He was getting hit. He was getting harassed. They put pressure on him, and Green Bay. That game could have been 10-10, and a lot of things that could go wrong did, and they just snowballed on them. And even in the second half, there were some points where if they had just got the ball in, and they could have turned it over. They could have maybe changed a little bit of momentum there, but. The better team won. Atlanta's for real.
Yep,
I didn't see a lot. I didn't watch a lot of them. We don't get to see them a lot, but they're for real. And for a quick peek to the Super Bowl, they could definitely give New England the game.
I agree.
The
Patriots game. The Patriots game played out exactly the way
that kind of went as we thought.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh was on a nice little turnaround from where they were. Beat the Bills along the way. They were looking good. There was some cohesion there, but things were just. You know what? They weren't just right, and maybe it started with the Antonio Brown Facebooking like we're doing here.
Yeah.
Something just wasn't right there.
Well, I agree with that, but the other part.
It's not the way they lost, but I'm just saying, chemistry-wise.
There were two things that I thought were the key to this game, Leo. Number one, they lost Le'Veon Bell pretty early. He is their offensive. He's the main guy in the offense. Antonio Brown is great. Roth is, but Le'Veon Bell makes the offense go, and they never were able to adapt to when they lost him. The other thing was their defensive game plan was really, really curious. They played soft zone most of the day. You can't play zone against Tom Brady. I don't know what Mike Tomlin and his defensive coaches were thinking, but Brady had a field day, which brings us to a guy named Chris Hogan, who Bills fans, it was blowing up on Twitter during that game that Hogan was having this humongous 9-catch, 180-yard game with 2 touchdowns. You wrote about the former Bills, Andy Levitre in Atlanta is another guy. These former Bills, Alan Branch for the Patriots. Bills fans can't get caught up in what if, right? I mean, especially for the first two guys, Branch and Levitre. There is no way the Bills were bringing those guys back. Hogan, you can make a case that, man, they blew that one. But why don't you share your thoughts on those three guys?
I guess when this happens, it's human nature. Players move on. You'll be watching the Super Bowl. They'll be talking about Chris Hogan until you're sick of hearing about it. Same with Branch, who's had a nice couple years there, turning his career around. And Levitre, who was always a nice player, but that just wasn't happening in free agency.
They weren't paying him that kind of money.
In all these cases, Sal, you talk about fans will go, gee, what might have been, Well, it never was. I said, you can't say what might have been when it never was.
Right.
In Buffalo, they were part of 17 years they're part of the 17-year non-playoff streak. So, individuals who, they're not going to turn it around by themselves, of course, but I'll talk about the other two guys first. Levitre was part of a great draft class with Travis Bird, Eric Wood, Levitre. That was a good draft.
It was.
And 4 years came up, and it was Bird and Levitre, and they tagged Bird, which was a good move. But Bird's career was kind of hasn't panned out since then. But you had to tag somebody.
Levitre's market was ridiculous,
yes.
And you don't pay a guard that kind of money. So I had no qualms with
his deal averaged $8 million from Tennessee. That's a lot of money. So and you can replace guards, and they have.
They did.
So. But good for Andy Levitre, and now he actually going to Tennessee was actually a bad place for him, but now he ended up in a good place were in a scheme that really suits his athleticism. Alan Branch he's a troubled guy. He came to Buffalo, had 13 starts, had a good year. The Bills gave him a 3-year extension with some big money, and then
he drank it away.
And then and then he gets caught, 2 a.m.
Drunk,
throwing out the driver's side of his door. I think you just kind of blew it.
Yeah.
And of course, New England's all, and this applies to Chris Hogan as well, because his money was really big. They paid him $4 million. He's a number receiver in Buffalo. New England's always in a position to take on problem children,
reclamation projects,
and contracts that no one else can probably handle because, they just manage things so differently. I mean, Tom Brady's cap number is ridiculous. I think it's like under $1 million.
It's less than Tyrod's will be next year.
They just are able to do things that no one else seems to do. Yeah, and they do take on problem children problem players because if it doesn't work out, they know that the leash is short with Belichick. This might be their last chance. They tend to straighten out a little bit. Not always. Some guys end up in prison for murder. but
he was their own guy.
Yeah,
they drafted him.
But you know what? New England's just a machine. I wasn't surprised they won. I won't surprise. I mean, I'm not like a lot of people. I know it's not popular, but I don't despise the Patriots at all.
You got to respect them.
I've seen how good they've been for so long, and Brady and Belichick and Kraft. Bob Kraft, this guy just wants to win. And I'm going to tell you, everyone's looking forward to Roger Goodell handing the trophy to Brady. He's going to be handing it to Kraft.
Yeah, I know. I know everyone keeps saying Brady.
Yeah,
it's not going to be Brady.
And Kraft is going to love it immensely.
Yeah.
That guy wants to win.
He is.
And in the NFL, this is what it always comes down to, is owners who want to win. They have to get a kick out of it. Gets us back to the Bagulas. How badly do they really want to win?
Well, I hope they want to win.
I don't think they want to win that way. They don't want to win
I think they want to win.
They don't want to win like a Kraft does or a Jerry Jones does.
I think they want to win. They're just going about it the wrong way right now. Let's get to some questions before we move on to the Sabres. Lori Moose had a couple. First of all, she said, keep Tyrod. Second of all, she said high and tight, referring to my haircut. Good for you, Lori. It is high and tight and disgusting. And she also said, why would they hire a wide receivers coach as QB coach? This came out early in the week. They hired a quarterbacks coach. His name is David Culley, Leo. And he hasn't coached quarterbacks since 1988 in college. He's been a receivers coach for most of his time in the league.
Because hirings are all about buddies and repaying favors.
I mean, that one struck me as, what are they doing? The guy has not coached quarterbacks in the NFL, and the last time he did it, you and I were both, 34-inch waist. Well, you still are at 34-inch waist. That was a long time ago. I don't get the hire.
You got more hair though.
Yeah, that's true. Well, not
why
anymore.
Why is Rick Dennison, who was an NFL linebacker, why is he an offensive coordinator?
I know, it's bizarre. But the quarterback coach was really that was a puzzler. I can't wait to get over there when we finally get a chance to interview them, when they'll make them available at some point here. And I'm going to ask, what was the tie with the quarterback with this guy? Why is he the quarterback's coach? It'll be interesting.
An answer?
Well, I think he'll answer it. Hopefully, Culley will answer the question as to why are you a quarterback's coach when you've been coaching receivers for
I'll
most
tell
of
you
your
what,
time?
they'll just say we're offensive coaches. We can coach anything.
I guess.
That's
Tyrod needs a guy who knows what he's doing if it's going to be Tyrod here. And it remains to be seen whether this guy is going to be the answer. Let's see, what else have we got here? What will happen if Tyrod's gone? Kelly, Wilson, Jones, free agency. It's funny, I'm going to write about Chad Kelly in my column tomorrow. Folks, get off the Chad Kelly train.
Yes.
He's Jim Kelly's nephew, and just because his name is Kelly doesn't mean he's going to be the savior of the Buffalo Bills. Chad Kelly right now has a torn ACL. He's got a very, very checkered off-field past. He did okay at Mississippi. He had some nice moments, but overall he was kind of a scatter arm at times. He was very inconsistent. One site, CBS Sports, they do a great job with the NFL draft.
Yeah.
They've got him ranked as a 6th-round draft pick. Do you really want to pin your hopes on a guy who's probably going to he'll be a third-day pick no matter what between the 4th and 7th round? Is Chad Kelly going to be the answer for the Bills?
If the Bills want to take him in the 7th round, I won't go crazy. Fine. Sometimes you get lucky.
I don't know. People are all excited. Oh, pick Chad Kelly. He's not Jim Kelly.
They can market him.
Okay. Well, they need marketing over there.
Posters
Still sell
of
tickets.
him and Jim. I don't. There are much better quarterback options if they're going to
get off the Chad Kelly train. All right, let's move off football. Let's close real quick with some hockey talk. Buffalo Sabres playing Dallas in Dallas tonight. Lindy Ruff coming off a remarkable win the other night against Nashville, down 4-2 with 6 minutes to go. Had been outplayed most of the game And then, man, they scored twice to force overtime.
Yeah.
And Eichel with one of those highlight reel goals that we were hoping we would see more of from Eichel. Just an unbelievable rush to end the game. You've been following the Sabres just like I do. What is your? I mean, they're actually, believe it or not, close to a wild card playoff position right now, despite all the troubles they've had.
They're 4 points out of the wild card going into tonight. Sabres fans, I feel their pain. It's been years here.
It has.
5 years, I think, right? It's going on for out of the playoff. I mean, and 2 last place finishes, and everyone just waiting for some kind of sign, just a sign from the hockey gods. Well, I think if you win 3 overtime games in a row, I think we have our sign.
Yeah.
I mean, it could all turn around tomorrow.
It could turn around tonight.
Even before the Eichel the game the other night against Nashville, I mean, the game before that, with Kel O'Reilly tied the game. They fell behind. I even forget who they played, but they fell behind. But Kel O'Reilly scored a man's goal.
No,
he just
Ryan.
took it.
Ryan O'Reilly.
Ryan O'Reilly.
Yeah, Cal's down here in Rochester.
No, Ryan O'Reilly. He took it and just end to end and just made this just power play and scored, tied it, and then they won in overtime again. That's the kind of things they need, and they are getting the production now out of their guys. Evander Kane is on an incredible role. Even when he wasn't scoring, he was playing well.
Been really good.
Okposo's been a great free agent pick. He's finding his way.
The problem, Leo, is the defense and goaltending is holding this team back.
Defense,
Robin,
yep.
Robin
But I'll
Leonard,
even defend Leonard and Anders Nilsson, who are kind of rotating a little bit now. Their combined goals against is like 2.5. I mean, they're doing okay.
That's not good enough, though.
Well,
when you're the Sabres and
I
you're
know
playing so many low-scoring games, 2.5 goals a game is not good enough for that team. They're starting to score lately, but they play too many low-scoring games, Leo.
But they're in this month of January. I think their goals they're scoring 3.2 a game or something like that.
Right, well, that's good.
They're scoring.
Leonard's a problem.
They have to get a.
You can't be on the Leonard.
No,
bandwagon.
I'm not on the Leonard bandwagon.
He gives up too many soft goals.
Yeah, but I also know that if you can score for these goals, I get it. It's not the best goaltending in the league, but it's if they can keep this scoring up.
If they can score, they'll be okay.
And they have the guys that can score.
They do. I like their top six.
And it starts with Eichel. I mean, and the other day, he's really finding his stride now. Since his injury, and he's the guy. He's the catalyst.
But you look at their top 6, Leo. You got Eichel, Reinhardt's playing better.
Yeah.
O'Reilly, I think, is maybe their best all-around player.
Oh, absolutely.
When you factor everything in, Okposo's been really good. Kane can be really good if his head's in it. They've got some nice players in that top 6 right now.
Brian Giunta, our Rochester guy,
Giunta's playing
he's
pretty
still
well
playing
for
at
them.
a high level. They've
got some pieces there. They've got to fix the defense and the goaltending.
Yeah, the D is always a question mark. They have to get a little bit more quicker puck movement and a little bit and more scoring out of their D, obviously.
Bogosian scored one the other night in overtime.
So it's starting to happen a little bit. It's starting to happen a little bit, and that's what they need. They talk about, Dan Biasman was always talking about the 5 guys on the ice being pushing the puck, all being offensive minded, getting a little bit more aggressive and going. And it's taken him a while. I mean, it's a while here, but look what he took over for. But I think the pieces are there. Like you mentioned, if they add a little bit on defense in the offseason, and then they do have to figure out finally the goalie. I mean, if they're going to really, and we know Tim Murray, Leonard's his guy. They're going to, but they do. It will get to the point where they will have to say yes or no moving forward.
Hey, depending on what happens in the next month.
But it's going to be making the playoffs.
Depending on what happens in the next month, they could be buyers at the trade deadline. They may try to get a defenseman to come in here.
They may have to make a move to get over that hump, and then make that run. For a team that had been as low as they were, Sal, for them to make the playoffs
that would be
in this
amazing.
rebuild,
yeah,
that is one
when you figure
great achievement.
When they lost to Toronto last week, they were back in last place in the Eastern Conference. Since then, they've won 3 in a row, and they're, like we said, they're close to a playoff.
That wild card chunk of teams, that's how it goes.
Yeah.
You win a few, and you're all of a sudden you're in so much better chance.
The Eastern Conference is very tight at the bottom there, so they're not too far off. But they got to keep this roll going, and if they do, hey, it could be a very interesting.
But I remember
spring.
just a short while ago when you were watching that last place team 2 years in a row, and that one year they were so bad.
Oh, they were
historically
bad.
I thought there were some AHL teams that were better than them.
Yeah,
they were really unwatchable. Now they're a very watchable product.
They are.
And they're entertaining, watchable. They got Eichel. It's fun to see it's working, and I give Tim Murray, a GM that does know what he's doing, a lot of credit.
All right, we're going to wrap it up on that note. Thanks for being here again, folks. Again, you can look at get SalSpeak, the podcast, on iTunes. If you just type in SalSpeak, it'll show up. We're here every Thursday afternoon at 12:30 on Facebook Live. So for Leo Roth, I am Hoorah Sal Maiorana.
Come back next week when Sal's hair will have
My
grown
hair
back a little more.
hopefully will grow out a little bit by next week. But until then, have a great week, and we'll see you later.